Welcome back, guys. We're playing some Last Epoch today. So, what's new in the world of Last Epoch? Well, this is their first major update since release. This is called Harbingers of Ruin, patch 1.13, and we're gonna go with probably my favorite class in the game, Acolyte. I've done Necromancer, I think was my very first build, and Warlock was like my second to last build since before the game started. I have played 8 of the masteries. I believe it's 8 or 9. Yeah, I've played quite a few. This will be officially the third and final mastery for Acolyte. Yeah, definitely by far my favorite class. Lich is okay, but Warlock's better.
There was darkness. Only the terror, myself, and the void. I was content with nothing. She dreamt of light, of life, of humanity. We disagreed, and yet, in her world, there were gods. Majasa of the desert, Lagon of the sea, Raye of the endless skies, and Hierot of the frozen tundra. But fate stole Ekera away. Without her, there was conflict, then wars. In the end, it was Raye who sought to outshine the sun that would pull the world into his flame. Caught within Raye's gaze were the Keepers, an order sworn to protect Etera's memory and the power it still holds. They were joined by someone unexpected, a traveler, willing to walk into the flames of war. But why? Was it honor they sought? Power? Redemption? Or was this fate? Perhaps. But no story is quite that simple.
Alright. We're Etera. So the gameplay is going to skip around a bit. Obviously, I'm just going to run you through the campaign and some of the major bosses so you can see how my Lich build went. And at the end, I'll kind of showcase, there'll be like a little montage of the build with, I'm not going to show you gear because the gear's kind of meh, and also I forgot to put it in there. So if you want to see that, maybe I'll do like a short video of what I'm currently rocking. But it's just going to be like the skill points and then the abilities I'm using. So what you'll see throughout here is that I obviously change skills as the game goes on. I'll have to say probably one of the best things about Last Epoch over a few of the other ARPGs out there is that respecking is very easy. If you guys are playing Path of Exile, you know that they updated respecking with gold, which is just awesome. That's probably one of the most painful things to do in that game is respec, but I mean, you gotta kind of plan out your builds with Path of Exile. Last Epoch is a lot more forgiving in that regard, which is kind of why I like playing it. Yeah, it's a little more colorful of a game. It's not quite as good looking as Path of Exile. Certainly not as good looking as Diablo or how Path of Exile 2 is going to look. But it's a decent looking game. I enjoy it. I like the bright colors and all that. But I also like the sort of grimness of Path of Exile. Yeah, like hopefully I'm gonna get into that beta for Path of Exile too. Been super excited about that. But yeah, the Lich. Let's talk a little bit about Lich, right? So I'd say it's probably the tankiest of the 3 Acolyte masteries, and especially if you like combine it with Ward. I haven't messed a whole lot with Ward It's kind of like a shield that decays over time. So if you get some ward on top of your like normal health, and then you've got Lich. Lich is basically like it's another form. You'll see it, and you have basically a second health pool with the Lich, so it'll degrade over time, and then you'll be fully at full health as the Acolyte. So if like you get hit pretty hard as the Lich, you kind of get like a second wind with your Acolyte. But if you've got like the right abilities, you can stay in Lich form for a good long while. I'm sure there's some guys out there who are basically like one button permanently Liches. I haven't seen it. I haven't really looked for it either. But I've gotten through some areas where I can stay as a Lich for a while. You gotta be kind of like, the way it's built is you kind of have to be actively life stealing other, the ads and the bosses and all that stuff. And you can kind of, as long as you don't get hit really hard, you can just sort of drain life from bosses and from ads kind of indefinitely and stay in the Lich form for a good long while. Of course, when you're in that form, all of your necrotic damage is increased and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool, Billy. I also have a golem as a tank, so that helps as well. So early on it was a bit of a struggle, but now that I'm in the I'm gonna call it maps because I can't think of the name of it right now, but basically the end game portion, I just sort of barely started. I think I'm like level 68 or something like that, and I'm gonna run through it. To be quite honest, I only played against a couple of bosses, like early on bosses in the end game stuff. I didn't really get super far with the other characters. I was kind of more interested in checking out all of the builds that I could do, checking out the different classes and masteries. I'm not a big fan of the druid and all that kind of stuff. I say it's the Harbingers thing. So you fight Nemesis, is there, I think, or elders or whatever. Basically, you can pick whether or not you get a group of items, right? And you can fight for the items as they are, like by challenging this little boss fight here. Let's see if it pops up real quick. Yeah, Slain Harbingers, not Nemesis. Yeah, so you get all these things. If you empower it, you can do that 3 times, and on the 3rd time, you can challenge them and get the more powerful gear. So if you empower the gear every successive time, there's added stats, and they can be upgraded to uniques or even legendaries, I believe is what they are. And so I choose to empower. If you don't like anything that's in the list, and I wasn't really paying attention to that part from the beginning, you can banish it. So if there's nothing in there that's useful to you, then you can just banish it and basically reset. It's like the trial, the challenges, Path of Exile. You have to forgive me. I don't know what they're called. I don't do well with those things. That goes to like 10. This is only like 3. They're all at once, but this one, you gotta find him. So you fight him once, and then you gotta find him again. So for this patch update, if you're looking for these guys, if you're trying to like sort of speed run through the campaign, I don't know if that'll be beneficial early on to fight these Harbingers. You kind of want to like explore the whole area, because then you'll probably miss some of the Harbingers because they're just kind of randomly scattered throughout. So yeah, let's start out with some minions and stuff here. They didn't last that long. I didn't really care for the Necromancer mini build. I don't know if I didn't really think about the build when I did it, but I really liked Warlock. I made a 1-button Warlock, and it was awesome. If you want to see that, I have the old builds, and I can kind of showcase those. If you're interested, let me know. I can just list out the specs or something, or you can check out the older videos. They're still up. They're not too old. I probably, last time I played was like March, I think. This one I checked out for the last league in PoE. So I try to offset these if I can remember. I'll play like Last Epoch for a little while, and then I'll play a couple of characters in Path of Exile, and then I'll come back to this and kind of jump around back and forth. You know, when I want a break. But I really do enjoy ARPGs. It's probably one of my favorite types of games, and I think because they provide a bit of a challenge. I've always liked this sort of top-down isometric view for things. I think it's partly because coming from RTSs, and I certainly played, you know, Diablo 1 and 2 when I was quite a bit younger. Which were awesome games. Don't ask me to tell you anything about them. I don't remember them too well. All I know is I enjoyed playing them. And they kicked my butt when I was like, you know, 9, 10 years old. Yeah, so see, we got one more to empower. And then we'll get this gear afterwards. I'll fight him. Come on. Hit the button. You don't need to challenge him yet? I'm just reading it. That's what I'm doing in the game, guys. Forgive me. So while we're doing that, let me read you the patch notes if you haven't ever played this game, or it's been a while and you're looking for a reason to come back. So I'm just going to go through the changes. So Nemesis, the Froststeel Nemesis, has they've reduced the area of the orbiting cold dot ability. It's a boss fight. Stormsteel Nemesis, they removed the rotating lightning ability. That's great. Poison Nemesis, poison deals 25% less damage. Poison pill ends when the Nemesis is defeated. That's great. Hate lingering attacks. Poison spin, attack deals 14% less damage. The cross the screen projectiles deal physical damage rather than fire, and the poison inflicted by the cross the screen projectiles at 50% reduced duration. So that's all good. Made it a little more palatable. Nemesis panel. Alright, so improved UX when closing panel, then item in the Nemesis swap slot. If you manually press the close button while I'm in the egg of a forgotten swap slot, it will be returned to inventory. If you close the whole Nemesis panel while an item is there, for example, by pressing escape or close the game, then I will remain there, but the next time you open the egg of the forgotten panel, swap sub panel will be open with the item visible. Corruption catch-up buffs. Bonus corruption based on the difference between the highest corruption timeline and the current timeline is now always 95% of the difference from scaling based on distance and being capped at 60%. When the difference between the highest corruption timeline and the current timeline is greater than 40, or you have at least 8 gaze of Orbis, and the current echo web does not contain a shade echo, then completing an echo will create a shade echo next to it. I don't know what that means. I've not done a lot of corruption, so that's the kind of like upgrading the end game stuff and adding corruption to make them harder, and you get more items. As a result of these changes, that if you get one timeline up to 300 corruption, and then go to a fresh empowered timeline, completing a single echo, chain of echoes, that's what they're called. Shade of echo next to it, that will boost the timeline straight to 296 corruption. Okay. Yeah, so it's a chain of echoes, that end game thing. So it's like these little nodes in the chaos timeline desk screen. So they added the following info in the desk screen. This is what I like about this game. It'll kind of tell you what got you, so you're not wondering why you died. Path of Exile. You haven't played a lot. You have no idea sometimes. So they added how much damage was dealt by the killing blow, how much overkill damage the killing blow had, which is the amount of damage over what was necessary to kill you, and then whether the killing blow was critical or not. That's cool. So they also include like the elemental or physical damage that was dealt to you. So if it says you were killed by lightning damage, then you probably gotta up your lightning resistance, or just don't get hit. Okay, enemy balancing, the Bitter Wing and Gloom Screecher bats. Damage ice. Breath attack scales up over the duration of the cast from 50 to 100%. It's fun. Blood Scorpions deal 24% less poison damage. Great. hate poison damage. Alright, forward soldier's flamethrower deals 11% less damage. Duration increased attack by 30%. Melee attacks 20% slower. Reduced visual noise of their fire warpath ability and ignites fire from its fire ground 30% reduced duration. Gorgon Sand Twister deals 17% less damage. Good. That's an annoying attack. Herot, fixed indicator on Herot's triple ice Nova attack. Displaying incorrectly after first cast. Optimized Herot's ice stab attack. Okay. It's basically a bunch of. Looks like they kind of nerfed the bunch of enemies. So there's a ton of that stuff. I could keep going, but I'm not gonna do that. It's probably gonna be boring. There's actually a very long list. Probably should have scanned this before I started reading it to you guys. So let's go down to like systems. So you abandon SCF challenge. Most progressed Forgotten Knights faction between SCF and SAF will get carried over. UI and tooltips are now visible and equipped in the observatory panel. And then there's some bunch of bugs fixes, controller fixes, change some stuff with special effects and passives. Yeah, so pretty cool. Bunch of balancing corrections in the fights. So that's all good. I really like what these guys are doing over at Last Epoch.
You seem a little disoriented. First time here, traveler.
If you go on their store page, I believe they have the whole sort of next 3 or 4 cycles laid out and what they're going to be adding and changing, which is really cool. You don't really often see that from a lot of developers. I know they're smaller teams, so they're a little more transparent, but you know, I like to see that. It means they're invested in their game, which is great. Actually listen and implement changes that people are asking for without ruining the game. Unlike some other guys that really want your feedback and do the exact opposite. Alright, so this is where we're gonna get our Lich mastery.
You have many questions. I see your become if I then close your
I'm not gonna listen to that, guys.
and focus on the potential you wish to
Boom.
build,
Reaper form.
I guide the shades to you.
Yep. So Lich. Reaper form. Take on the Mantle of Death itself and transform into a Reaper. Temporarily gain the Reaper ability. Good attack. Very, very cool.
I see.
So we're gonna actually go pretty ham on necrotic damage.
Will be necessary if our world, our reality, is to have any hope.
Alright, these are your passives. So obviously you've got Acolyte, and then once you get to this guy, you can either open up Necromancer, Warlock, or Lich. Necromancer is, you know, a minion build thing, which is kind of tanky, and Warlock is straight up awesome. By far my favorite build. I would have to say top 3 for me so far. The ones I played are Spellblade, Warlock, and Void Knight. Void Knight I think was that wasn't the first one, it was the second one I did. And that was a ton of fun. Just go ham on void damage and just spin in circles. It's pretty great. You get all these like time void traps and all that kind of stuff. It's that's a fun one. Looks cool too. Not as cool as Warlock, but pretty cool. We got some minions following us around.
Yes.
No, cultists. Void Amalgamation. Yeah, so I mean, I'd have to say that most of the bosses in the story of this game are pretty easy. As long as you're decently strong and won't take too long. The attacks are pretty easy to avoid for the most part, unless you're just not paying attention. And then the other thing I think the only like real difficult boss is kind of like it's a skill check or a build check, gear check. I'm not sure. It's just it's an overall check on your ability, I guess, to build a character. Is Lagon. Most annoying fight in the game. The snake lady's not too bad at the end. It's actually funny, the last boss is not the hardest boss for the storyline. It's actually the second to last boss is the most difficult. And once you get past him, which I think a lot of people seem to struggle with, it's kind of gravy from there. And then when you get into the echoes and all that kind of stuff, then it's just kind of running these areas over and over again, and then fighting bosses every few echoes. And it just keeps going like that. That little portal thing that's kind of like a portal scroll in Path of Exile and take you back to like the last like major hub you went to. And you can kind of just do them whenever. I've definitely like exited out on accident. Imagine if you're playing hardcore that would be useful to put up and just escape from if you think you're gonna die. And you can see that I rely pretty heavily on my minions here. And I'm not sure why I'm not using Reaper form here. Forget I had it or something. Now this boss changed a little bit from the last time because it used to be more of a like directional wave, like a cone instead of like the whole area. I might have to cut this a little bit. Not sure. It seems a little long. Yeah, it's not too bad. You can just suffer through it with me. Yeah. Oh man. Try to skip as much as possible. Alright. I want to showcase some of the areas. I think the game does a really good job of keeping the variety of the areas up there. Like there's a, let me restate that. There is a large amount of variety in what the areas look like. And I think they did a really good job with the aesthetics of the game. There's another one. Yeah, I just went with everything. I think I took all of it even if I didn't need it. I always have this like intention of keeping all these uniques and using them on a different character because in the same, just like in League's Path of Exile, they call them cycles here in Last Epoch. You keep all the gear in the same cycle so you can use them for other characters, but I end up finding just as much gear, so I never utilize them for another character even though they might be useful. I'll find like something else or go in a different direction. Just kind of an item hoarder. I think if you're playing an ARPG, you gotta have a little bit of like a hoarder mindset to play these types of games because it's just lots and lots and lots and lots of loot. And everything seems great. Most of it's not. Most of that's trash. But I feel like I need to sell it. I don't need to sell it. Got enough gold. This is a Lich, man. Love the quick movement. I haven't got my golem yet. I do have my golem. I don't know why I have my golem up. Slacking. It's funny. You play a game, you think you're doing alright, and then you go and watch like something you cut up and edited, and you're like, why am I not playing my golem? Why don't I have him up? I've got plenty of mana to call him up. There he is. See? As I say it, it happens. So this is an interesting perspective I have trying to create videos, and then also being someone who watches a good amount of YouTube videos, is that you don't really understand why someone's not doing something. Like on the video, you're yelling at the screen like, why aren't you doing this? Until you start making your own videos and go, oh, idiot, what was I doing while I was playing the game? And then you're doing it to yourself. You're like, man, can't stand when, you know, YouTubers can't open the door and it says open the door. And you're yelling, it's right there, it's open the door. I saw it 6 times, you walk past it. And then you go ahead and watch it. And you're doing the same thing. It's funny. I find it funny. So I'm sure, and I've had it happen, even though I'm trying to build this, you know, channel. See people that are, I appreciate them watching and they're giving me some criticism. Some people are a little more critical than others, and that's fine. I appreciate it. Helps me get better, pay attention to things. But I'm still gonna mess this up. But it's good to see them go, why did you do this? And I go, oh yeah. It's funny to be on the other side of that. And here's Lagan. This is the hardest fight in the entire campaign. And I'm not gonna lie, it took me a minute to get settled with this. I had to like, I use my, not so much, I do use gear to add resistance to, because crafting in this game is pretty easy. It's not like Path of Exile where you're like guessing what you're supposed to be doing. But I use the totem things that you can add, and I try to get my resistances out of that. Because I don't, those can change fairly simply, a lot easier than like upgrading gear or swapping gear out and like worrying about losing certain attributes of the gear you have and ruining it for like future use because you wanted a specific resistance on it. So I like to use those little totems, the idols are called idols, and to add my resistance. So Lagan, you need lightning and cold resistance, I think. Yeah, it's mostly lightning, mostly attacks. But you can see if I was in my Acolyte form, when all these waves go by, and that'd be painful, but since I'm using Reaper to kind of like up my decay here, you can also see I've got a little bit of ward going on, and I just use Drain Life, and then Wandering Spirits helps to cut down on the, it's got Necrotic Shred built into there, so I've got a lot of necrotic damage, I've got Necrotic Shred, so that stacks up, and kind of just drain it out. And this Drain Life will hit multiple things. So as you can see, I'm staying in Lich form for a good amount of time. And that's what you want, I think, out of this particular character. You want to stay in Lich form as long as possible. So you can kind of see I lost it because I wasn't paying attention, wasn't hitting it. But yeah, just use Drain Life and you'll be fine. It's interesting to go negative on mana. So if I end up hitting my golem too much, it'll eat a lot of my mana because I just hit it just far too often. Run, get out of the circle. Oh, but yeah, once you get to like, you see these little sort of circle, triangle type looking things. Once you get to a certain point on the life of the boss, you'll get that sort of overshield at those like 3 stages. And then you'll be done. See that? Easy peasy. Now that took a couple of tries because I didn't have my gear quite right for the resistances. And I wasn't paying attention, but yeah, not too bad. Should get it all sorted. Got my big ol' double-sized golem here. I'm not sure if I got the node to make him bigger on this one. I do make him bigger. Might be, I'm not sure at this point. Yeah, it's cool looking. Alright, we're gonna talk to Lagan, annoy him. I'm gonna click the this a bunch of times for no reason. And what I should have done, I kept talking to him for some reason. I should have just gone over the portal. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing here. Just being annoying, I guess. And get all the gear. There is a built-in filter in this game. If you are not aware, I'm just lazy and didn't set it. Yeah, so now we're definitely bigger now, I think. Yeah, Majasa, she can be kind of a pain. More so in the second stage. The first stage, you got these like elemental nodes. Easy enough to avoid. I think the most annoying thing is the poison pools. So if you're like a sort of a melee type guy, this is an annoying fight. As long as you can stay at distance, it's not too bad. But yeah, those are all like new little elemental nodes. You definitely want to get rid of those because they're very annoying to try and deal with. And yeah, quick movement, dodges. Oh yeah, that's another thing they added. Holy cow, I almost forgot. They added a dodge to the game. I'm not sure if they're all animated the same. I certainly hope not. The Acolyte has this weird floaty dodge thing. Not a fan. It's weird looking. She does this like hover above the ground. But dodge is weird because you kind of have like this movement penalty once the dodge is stopped. But it's definitely useful as long as you pay attention to when the attacks are coming to avoid them, so you're not sort of rolling yourself into something else or slowing yourself down into another attack. Oh, and drain life. Cool thing about this ability is that like the range on it is ridiculous, so I don't need to be that close. I can pretty much like go to the point where she's so far off the edge of the screen. But yeah, so this is a minorly annoying fight. And she's got those stages in first form, and then there's yet another form. Easy money. See, pretty easy to avoid all this. You just keep draining that life, and you see that my ability pretty much never decays. Yeah, you can take a pretty big hit there though, so be mindful of that. You can use potions to heal, but they seem to decay faster when you do that. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that, but that's just sort of been my like experiences when I've used a potion to sort of like stay in Lich. It drains a lot faster. We're almost there. Yep, that's one. Oh no! And this was actually, with this character, probably the easiest it's ever been. Like, the dodge is super helpful to basically get to the other side of her so you don't get turned into stone. If you do get, and I don't think when you're in Lich you can't turn into stone, because I'm pretty sure I hit it and I never turned to stone. Yeah, see that? Never happened. Cool thing about Majasa in this one is I think there's only like one like level before the overshield. Might even be any, because she goes to these things and like tries to like heal herself. As long as you're draining life while she's doing that, she does not gain life. If you're like melee and you come over here, you don't have enough DPS, she will pretty much fully heal every time she does that. Had some pretty long Majasa fights with some weaker characters. See, he's healing. With the drain life, she doesn't heal quite as much. Yeah, you use the root ability, then you can kind of get out of that. Then the blood thing, stay out of the blood thing. When I'm not in Lich, I'm just running in circles because I don't want to get hit. As soon as I get hit, I'm done. Let my golem do some work till I can get into Lich form and call it a day. Just drain life. Yeah, see that? And also my drain life has the Oh, those spirits. Hungering souls, that's what it is. Proctor's Hungering Souls. Wandering Spirits. I have those backwards, maybe. That's it, guys. That's my Lich. It's pretty sweet. Good build. So, here in a second, you're going to go through a little bit of the build. It's going to be a neat little montage, so you can check that out. Oh, let's watch this.
Traveler. The shackles of fate binding tighter. A path is slipping beyond your reach. Your fate is set, and it always ends with me. Come, see for yourself inside the monolith. There are other realities that fought against their fate. But no matter their sacrifice, they fell. Champions, empires, gods, or, in the end, aberrations. There is no escape from the void. There is no escape from me.
Well, that's it, guys. Feel free to check this out. Slow it down, speed it up, skip it around. This is basically the build in its current state. This is going to be my first video, if you're watching it, that I've used Davinci Resolve. So this is more of a test bed to see if I can figure out how to edit with this. So I apologize if you thought this was some sort of build guide or some like awesome playthrough guide of the campaign. It's not what it was. It's kind of like a test for me. But I hope you enjoyed what you did watch. If you skipped through it, that's fine. I hope this is helpful in getting you going. If you've played this build and you have some suggestions on the direction I'm going, feel free to hit me up in the comments and let me know if there's some things I can respec into or try out that might be a little bit better for the Lich. I'm open to suggestions. I like trying things. Respec is easy. It's a pretty fun game. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And I hope you check out Harbingers of Ruin. A lot of good quality of life updates. There's some boss stuff added to the game. The Harbingers is a cool little mechanic they added. You know, small, simple. There's a lot of UI, a lot of bug fixes, obviously. And it's gonna be it for me, guys. Once this wraps up, there's like some echoes play through stuff towards the end, and so that's just gonna be random. I'm not gonna comment through that. You can just watch it, skip it, whatever you want to do. Up to you. The world is your oyster. But thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. More videos to come. I'll figure out this Davinci Resolve thing, and hopefully the quality comes up. Definitely enjoy editing in this, so looking forward to making some better videos and putting some stuff out there. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.